2020 reframed cybersecurity for most organizations. Now let's take a look at 2021 top cybersecurity threats and understand how they can impact our business. Hi, I'm Steve Murphy. I'm a Vice President at ARG. And though I work at ARG, this video is my own thoughts and views. With that qualification, let's take a look at what we need to think about in 2021. So 2020 certainly did reframe the way we do cybersecurity. Most companies sent their employees home for the foreseeable future. We had a significant increase in issues-based phishing, not only around COVID, but also around politics and a number of other issues. Now that resulted in breaches increasing by as much as 300%, and specifically ransomware rose, according to some research, as much as 700%. Our IT staffs are stretched to the limit. And 2021 isn't going to let up at all. Let's take a look at some of the top cybersecurity concerns that we have going into 2021 and talk about ways that we can mitigate some of those concerns. Now, the first risk area for 2021 are those work from home employees. Now, work from home has largely stabilized across organizations, but the bad guys are just getting started at targeting these work from home employees. Our attack surfaces have increased dramatically. No longer are the bulk of our employees working behind our defensive perimeter. They're out on their own, using their own internet access and business-provided devices, but those business-provided devices are becoming hybrid devices, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. It's more difficult to maintain a culture of security, and new employees especially pose a risk that we haven't seen before. Indoctrinating new employees into our culture of cybersecurity has become more important than ever. And here's a good example. Malwarebytes did a survey in 2020 that showed among IT professionals, 30% of those IT professionals surveyed were using both their personal device and their business-provided device for business activity. 30% of the people who should know better were not following the rules of the organization. We know that that percentage is probably way higher for your typical employee. Now, one of the ways you can mitigate the risk of having a larger attack surface with all these work from home employees is by increasing the endpoint device security. Maybe you want to consider an endpoint detection and response platform rather than the traditional antivirus, anti-malware that you're running right now. One of the other factors of moving all of our employees home was that we pushed applications out to the cloud like never before. I've had multiple IT leaders tell me that they had multiple years of change in just a few short months. And this rapid change is certain to open cybersecurity gaps, including misconfigurations in cloud environments, or just a general lack of visibility into how those applications are operating. Application vulnerabilities are another concern. Is the version or the cloud environment that you've moved an application into, is that appropriate for that application to run in that environment? A lot of IT leaders aren't certain. They're just hoping that things work out for the best in this new cloud environment. The last area that we need to be concerned about when we're moving applications to the cloud is identity management. How are we certain that people accessing this new application in this new internet-based environment rather than in our secure data center, how are we certain that those users are properly authorized and entitled to use that application? Now, by far one of the most important developments in 2020 is the advent of more aggressive ransomware in two aspects. First of all, ransomware is becoming much more targeted at addressing or corrupting backups than ever before. This is the way the ransomware actors, the bad guys encrypting your files, are ensuring that you're ultimately going to pay the ransom. You see, we've gotten much better at backing up and creating business continuity strategies to mitigate the risk of ransomware. The bad actors have figured out that if they can corrupt or disrupt those backups, we are at a severe disadvantage and more likely to pay that ransom. So dwell time is one of the key things that you have to prevent on your network in order to address the new ransomware threat. Now, there's another aspect that has changed with ransomware in 2020, and that is the double ransom. Not only will the ransomware actors hold your data encrypted until you pay their ransom, but they'll also threaten to release any exfiltrated data out into the public unless you pay them another ransom. So there's a double incentive now to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect against ransomware. And again, limiting that dwell time, preventing that ransomware from being able to propagate and impact our backup and recovery system, as well as exfiltrate data, is your best defense. And for that, you really want to have a strong threat detection platform implemented on your network. Hybrid devices and workflows are another 2021 cybersecurity threat. I mentioned this earlier, but I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this. A hybrid device is where you have a user who's using their business-provided, business-controlled device for personal use. This is when they take a break, check their personal email, maybe on Gmail or some other public email platform, might go off and do a little bit of personal banking, pay some bills, or check their social media. All of these present unique and specific risks to the organization, and they're very hard to control with regard to work from home environment, where people feel a lot more comfortable doing some personal business on their company device than they would in a office setting. Now, a hybrid workflow is another thing that I mentioned, where the IT folks are using, 30% of IT folks surveyed are using both their personal devices and their business devices to do work for the organization. This creates yet another problem in terms of data loss and potential corruption of data on one device being transferred back into the network when that work is completed. A great solution for this, again, is an endpoint detection and response service, which will scan files as they're moving into the corporate environment and identify whether or not those files are risky, and also can help you prevent people from moving files into their public domain, like a Dropbox or their personal email, in order to do work on a more convenient device. The last hybrid device that we have to worry about are the mobility devices that everyone's carrying around. Good mobile device management is another opportunity for us to secure that aspect of the hybrid device risk. So the last 2021 cyber threat I want to talk about is how the attackers are changing their business model, and it's changing dramatically. The bad actors in the world are getting really smart about their business, and believe me, cyber hacking has turned into a big business in many, many countries. So the way they're getting smarter is they're separating the software development elements from the distribution elements. There are literally exploit development firms that use agile DevOps processes to get their exploits out quickly, and they drop it into a mass distribution channel where they're just collecting royalties from the ransom, for example, that are collected by the actual actors that are distributing their exploits. It's a completely new and very dangerous set of business models that will dramatically increase the amount of threats that we see in the environment. So what can you do against this? Again, having great threat detection is the best defense for these risks. And if you want to take a look at the market for threat detection or any other cybersecurity service, let me know. I'm going to put my email in the description down below. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation at any point in time. I'd also appreciate if you like and subscribe to this video. I'd appreciate your support, and if you subscribe to my channel, you'll be able to find your way back here at some point in the future. With that, I want to thank you for watching, wish you well, and hope you have a great day.